Power plugs and belief in visionaries, welcome back. Just have a little short message before we get this party started. To my regular audio only community, if you want to discover the relevance of what I'm about to say, you can always join us and find me on YouTube at the Belief Narrative channel. If you do, please subscribe. So, I'll continue. When I started refilming this season, I was using the original backgrounds and graphics and everything, and I kind of developed something a little new that I was going to spring on y'all a little later in this season. But since this month ends International Women's Month, I thought it would be more fitting to showcase a chapter of the podcast that does that. It honors women. So that's what you're about to see shortly. I just thought I would explain why you're going to be seeing the new that I'm about to spring on y'all, and then going back to the old. So consider this a sneak peek of what is to come. And thinking about International Women's Month and the powerful sheroes that are on this show that just do the amazing things that they do, it reminds me of my mother, who in the 60s, during the civil rights movement, which was not that far long ago as people would like to pretend, she fought her own struggles, becoming the first Black woman to work at a bank in the city that I was born and raised. And when I think about those societal restrictions that once were, it's mind-boggling. So, saying all that to say, thank you for joining me again on this journey and enjoy. And we are live.
Yay.
All right. Today we have not only one, but two extraordinary special guests. It's that good double trouble. Both leaders, community activists, certified life coaches in a plethora of areas, both with backgrounds in nursing, both mothers and co-owners of the nonprofit organization I Am Queen, geared towards enriching the lives of women through unity and encouragement to take charge of their lives, becoming champions of their own health, mind, body, and soul. We have my sisters, Ivory Darden and Leah Carter, in the power plant with us today. How you living?
Hi, everyone.
Yes.
All
Thank
right.
you for having us.
It is wonderful having y'all, but let's go ahead and get plugged in. So we have been charged with two things. One, the responsibility of discovering our gift, and two, the responsibility of sharing that gift with the world. And right now, there's someone who's buried underneath the weight of a false narrative they believe about themselves, and they're going to see this and they're going to know that I can relate to these two women's stories because they are from where I am at. And I'm not talking about a geographical location. I'm talking about a mindset, a set of circumstances, and they're going to know these two women have navigated themselves out of a place that I can't see my way out of. So, Ivory Darden, Leah Carter, this is your hour to amp the people up with the power of your story. Let's electrify them.
Oh, yes.
All right. So, knowing what you know now, what advice would you give the 18-year-old versions of yourselves? And would you be kind enough to give us a glimpse as to what was going on in those young women's lives?
Ooh. Let's see. What would I tell? I would tell the 18-year-old me to be authentic to self.
Okay.
Um, During that time frame at 18, I was already in my second semester for college. Um, I had already been experienced different trauma in life, being molested and raped and things of that nature. And so I was searching for um, something. There was a void that was missing, and so I began to put on different masks, and I began to display a healed person, a independent young woman, assertiveness, but still under all of that was not being authentic to me. And so not being honest and real, not having even healed, not even knowing how to heal, just kind of going through the motions of, well, everyone has an expectation of me to be happy go lucky and to have my stuff together. And whether it's from home or it's from friends, it's like I'm deemed to be the strong one when internally I'm breaking down, like I'm broken. I don't know how to like climb out of it. Had not gone to any type of therapy or talked about it because again that era of what goes on at home stays at home.
Yeah.
So I had an outlet, um, basically just through Leia, to have that confidant to that you can talk and say, pretty much anything and not have a sense of I'm being judged. And I was way left, okay, and just way left in a lot of things. But she was the go-to. But even in that, it's like I'm dumping and I'm saying or I'm acting a certain way and doing certain things that we both knew wasn't right, but she's almost like the voice of reasoning, or just let me get it out, right? Because I can't tell mom, mom thinks everything's fine, through her prayers and stuff. I definitely believe it aided and it helped significantly. But there still was some components that I needed to go through and to develop and just really heal. And it's hard to heal when you don't say anything,
Right.
when you're not being authentic to the this still hurts, this still bothers me. So for me, 18-year-old Ivory girl, just be authentic to who you are. You deserve that part.
That's what do you even say? Good gracious. The power and the transparency to be brave enough to share, and then the connection between the two of you goes way back. And beautiful, beautiful. Miss Leia.
What would I tell my 18-year-old self? Definitely, I was hard headed. I was
Okay.
hard headed. I feel like now I've grown a little bit, but still, if I can be a little stubborn as well. But yeah, I was hard headed. My mother, like, case in point, we grew up having pets.
Okay.
And so all my life, we take our pets to the vet, like, good pet owners. And so I wanted to be a veterinarian. Myself and my brother, just the two of us. He went on and went to Prairie View and Tuskegee, and is successful currently in Las Vegas, your old stomping grounds,
Hey.
um, as a veterinarian. And so I was okay. We're going to do the same thing. I'm going to do the same thing, and so that we can have our own business together in the future was the plan. And my mother, when I was in my senior year of high school, she suggested, well, why don't you try nursing? And I was, woman, how dare you try and deter me of my dreams? And so, I started off on my path. I'm going to do veterinary medicine. I fast forward to attempting a biology degree at North Texas, but I feel like maybe I was too sheltered, too churched, and too sheltered in that growing up stage of high school. And so when I got that taste of freedom, baby, I partied more than I should have studied. And so I had to come back home and regroup. And hooked up with this one, of course, my ace boom. And we started working at a juvenile treatment center, early 20s. And, getting cursed out by the 12-year-olds. She was like, hey, why don't we go into nursing? And I could have just saved myself a lot of time, effort, stress, money, if I'd have just listened to my mother.
Listen to mama.
Because here we are, 16 years into nursing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So less hard-headed. Listen to your elders.
Listen to your elders.
It's key. We think we knew. We think we knew and know everything. But
so, for those who are listening, so far, please pick up the gems that you are being given from these two wonderful women who are sharing their story with you. Be authentic to yourself and also be open to listen to your elders.
Right.
This is okay. We let's go down a whole nother okay, we're gonna continue. Can you tell us the story of how you discovered your gift?
So the gifts for me, so I feel like, I have a plethora. God is really blessing me. So I have a plethora of of gifts. But one of my gifts was the gift of I feel like influence, right?
Okay.
And so for me, throughout my journey, I realized that when I speak, people listen. I can pull you in. I can take you from here to there. I can lift you up. I can tear you down as well. So for me, taking a second to step back, I remember in nursing school had an assignment that we had to do for a class. And in that assignment, it was talking about, for me, it was quality versus quantity in regards to people, right?
Okay.
And I remember I had just put it together. I'm a very procrastinated paced person. I'm learning on that. God's working with me on that. But I had just put it together, but I realized for me, when I'm under pressure, I produce great things, right?
Okay.
And so putting it together, threw it all together. I'm standing in front of this classroom and I'm talking. And as I'm talking, I can remember my mom saying in my head, like, oh, one day, you need to be a teacher. You need to be up here. You need to be grabbing people. People will listen to you.
Wow.
And so I hear her in my voice. I'm speaking from my paper, and I can just see everyone on my every word.
Wow.
Tell me more. Yeah, tell me. Now, I probably was maybe the 6th, 7th, or 10th person that went up. So I was able to observe how everyone else responds to other people. But when I stood up there to say something, it was just I can grab the attention. And I was like, man, so I felt like at the end of my assignment presentation, they were on board with what I felt. And to get a group of people to believe in what I'm saying just showed me there's leadership in that. And you have to be careful about what you say and what you're doing, because you have the gift to either take them to the right or take them to the left. And so from there, just growing and just being and getting older, I'm realizing just that power of influence and having to remember to be very cautious with it,
Yeah.
because I don't want to deter anybody. But
Right.
I know that when I speak, in my opinion, can really alter someone's mindset. So for me, it was just trying to figure out that, trying to learn how to work with that, and realizing the significance of it, because each gift that we have holds very high importance. But we don't think of it like that. Oh, I just know how to do that. But you know how to do that for a reason.
Correct.
And finding what that reason with that gift and that purpose, oh man, it's a wrap after that.
Yeah.
So for me, it was the gift of influence.
And uh, how old were you when you gave that presentation in that pivotal moment?
I would say maybe not about, because it was in 26, no, 2006, 06. So maybe 25,
Okay. Okay.
maybe
There's
20.
something, and as I've done these interviews with other people, there's something about that age right around in
Mhm.
there where a lot of people's light switch really comes on.
Right,
Uh,
right.
wow. Powerful, powerful, powerful. Um, I'm
I'd say
saving all this till after I hear both of y'all.
I would say that for at that age, since we both had not finished college and we were working in the jobs, and maybe, well, at least for me, I'll say for me, observing some other folks that we maybe went to high school with who had actually completed the course, of school, and got those degrees, and now they're in a profession. And then, like, you see them, they're like, "Oh, we're traveling," and we're both like, "We need to do something else because this, yeah, we don't feel fulfilled."
Right.
So I feel like maybe at that age was when we were like, "Okay, girl, like let's do something. Let's do something for real. Follow something all the way through." But for me, realizing my purpose, I'd say it's my gift is that I'm personable.
Okay.
I can recall a story when I was, I don't know, maybe my daughter's age, like 7, 8. My mother was finishing up her master's at UTSA. And so, myself and my brother, we'd have to go with mom during her class. And, thank God for the times we were in, we weren't in any trouble, because while she's in the classroom, we are roaming about the campus. And my brother's 4 years older than I am, but I'm the one out there like, "Hey, hi," just talking to random people.
Yeah.
And so then when my mom gets out of class, she's running around looking for us. And I'm sitting there having a conversation with one of the professors. And he was like, "You got to keep an eye on this one right here. She's going to be." And so I feel like, that being personable, my mother was a kindergarten teacher
Okay.
all of my life, and in the school that she worked at, she was, well known. She'd been there for so long, but she would have a real, or find those real good relationships with, like, the maintenance guy, the cafeteria worker, the housekeeping. And, I've taken a little bit of that, and jobs that I've been at. I like to be real with those that I feel or deem have that real persona, that
Right.
real down to earth
Right.
level of being. The administration, like, you can miss me with all that. I like to hang out with the people that are, who they get you back, that let alert you of something. So, just that being that personable quality, I feel is something that I've developed. I've had experience with observing, and is a part of me.
Being okay. So, all right. There's so much here. There's so much here. So the power of influence and the ability to connect with people on multiple levels. So I sat here and I listened to you, Leah, say that you were able to connect and relate to the professor. You were equally able to connect with the janitor, and you deem them both equal, both the same in their own lane, in their own way. And that is a beautiful thing. The power of influence is something that I talk about a lot, um, because the power of influence is stronger than the power of suggestion. I will give you an example from my Las Vegas days. Um, I don't drink, never have, because I've seen too much. And so I was like the designated driver.
Hmm.
And so um my power of influence is greater than the power of suggestion in this manner. So if you are somebody who I'm going to be babysitting, um, me being able to get your keys from you is going to work greater when you're under the power of my influence and good reason than the power of influence of alcohol.
Hmm.
Because the power of influence, once you're under the influence of something,
Huh.
it's going to have more power than the power of suggestion.
Wow.
So, yes, that is a superpower that can be used both ways. So, the fact that you're saying you recognized that power and that strength early on, and the responsibility to be careful with it. Wow. The power of being able to connect and relate to everybody. Wow. Because you open up the doors to people feeling safe and able to relate to you, because they know that you care about me just as much as you care about somebody with a title. And our titles may be different.
Right.
When you put those two things together, come on now. Come on. So moving on. When did you and tell the story of how you recognize that you have a responsibility to share your gifts with the world?
Hmm. I would say, and when was it? When do you recognize that you had a responsibility to share your gift with the world?
Yeah, can you tell us the story of
Yes.
how that occurred?
Um, so mine would go back to work, being in a work environment, and knowing that I can share a situation, um, an opinion, maybe a portion of my journey with someone, and watching that person kind of be in awe to say, like, really, Ivory? I never knew that. Like, you, or, oh my gosh, or they may even be in tears, right? And so that began to allow for me to realize the power of sharing. There's something very powerful when we share our testimony, when we share what we've been through,
Yeah.
because by the grace of God, I feel like we don't look like what we've been through.
Right.
You can come and be like, oh, you're well put together, you're this, you're that. Oh, but you ain't opened the book. Or I haven't even allowed for you entrance into the book. So we get a false assumption of people based on the outside of what the book looks like.
Mm-hmm.
But in sharing, I realized there is reason as to maybe why I've gone through and I've been through what I've been through. But I realized that it wasn't just for me. Like it's not just for me. I'm not going through this just so I can say I've gone through this. I feel like I'm going through the things that I've gone through, and I'm still continuing to go through things for someone else. And
Right.
if I don't share that and I don't allow for people to have entrance to open up the book, then it's like I'm not doing or fulfilling part of my purpose, because I feel like our purpose is to really help women. Um, and it's becoming the best version of yourself, of course, but also there's a lot of walls and a lot of relationships that are tainted and feelings that are overflowing and bubbling. And we don't have a common ground to want to talk about it because you have that thought process of, I don't want nobody in my business. But when you
Right.
realize that your business is not really for you,
Right.
it changes the mindset to be like, I don't care who knows. It don't even matter anymore because your opinion is not of importance to me. Like as long as I feel God keeps giving me that stamp of approval to say, well done, Ivory, keep going. That's who I'm looking for to say, okay, how do you feel about that? Did I do that? Okay, great. But just regular people that I interact with or we meet or we know, that opinion doesn't matter because I'm not doing this for them.
Right.
So I believe definitely just as the journey for me began to just keep going and going and getting closer and closer to creating I Am Queen, not even knowing that that was going to come, I just realized that when I share and when I talk, I can change someone's life. I can give them hope.
Right.
And to me, man, if someone was shared to me or someone gave to me at the 18-year-old Ivory to let me know you ain't the only one who's been this. Oh, let me share, let me explain to you what I've been through. So I could have had some hope to know that, oh, I can come out of this. I may not be healed and I may not be right now, but look at this person. So just in me sharing, I just learned that I have to tell everybody. Yeah, open, honest, and transparent. Have to get it out, have to tell because it's not just for me to go through it and no one know. Like someone is going through something very similar. I said we all have a lot of stories and a lot of them are similar, but they're still all different. They only have their own blueprint. But
Right.
just as you can connect with me about, oh, okay, I was molested too, or oh, okay, I've had a rough time with that too. Then whatever I say after that is what I'm going to use with that influence to bring you up out of it. So
Was
for me, it was that.
was there a specific story that hit you to where you're like, "Oh, I need to open up to this person because like you it just hit you and you're like, "Okay, I have a
Um,
responsibility."
I would say um, one of the stories was being at work, you know, and sitting with a good friend of mine in her office and stuff. And she was going through a situation just in life, right? And again, everyone has this perception that the outer appearance is everything. Like you've never been through nothing, you've never had a hard time. Oh, because I know how to put my makeup on right, or I
You
know
look
how
so
to,
put together.
yeah, I know, I
Yeah.
know how to, smile when need or on
Yeah.
command. Like, yeah, I know how to do all that again with all the masks and stuff like that. Like I've perfected it by this time. So but she's going through something, and as I'm listening to her, she was still very hardened, by the experience that she was feeling. After I jumped in to be like, I understand why you feel like that way, but let me go ahead and share with you this part. And in me sharing just my journey, very simple to me, right? Because I've already gone through it,
For you.
right?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
but very profound for her, right? Because in me sharing that gave her not only that hope, but it also allowed for her to see someone and to know this, your current is not your forever. It's just what you're going through.
Right.
And of course, when we open up that emotional component, because she's walking around and she hasn't, developed all her masks right? So she's
Right.
still walking around, but she's trying to make it and everything's okay. But the moment that you have a quiet time, a one-on-one, hey, well, then it's like that emotional component just took over. She began to cry, hugging her, but that was a release for her.
Right.
She had been holding on to that because it felt like, oh, we have this hard shell and nothing, and I got to keep pushing through. And I'm like, but there's nothing wrong. There's freedom that I've learned in being vulnerable.
Feminine.
Yeah, being that. I hadn't learned that for a very long time. I have a very hard exterior. I designed myself in my skills and my mask and stuff to be very, very isolated from hurt, from
Mhm.
disappointment and things of that nature. So as I explained that to her, and it was a simple story, very simple story, but it meant so much to her. It was literally the aha. I saw the little light bulb, I felt the release. I saw the hope in her eyes. Like that particular moment allowed for me to realize again, like everything that you've been through, we always question, why me? Why am I going through all this? But when I actually sit back and I'm like, it's not even about me.
Right.
I'm going through this because there's someone else. And maybe how I am built and how I'm put together, I'm able to handle what I'm going through a whole lot better than someone else. So for me, it was that moment at work. This is probably like 2000 and maybe about 17.
Mm.
And it really just hit to be like, this is it. Like everything else, the gift of influence and all the other things and the ability to create mask and use for good or bad, like all these things came almost to like a head that moment to be like, Ivy, you have something here.
Ooh,
You don't
come
see it
on
because you just
now.
look at the negative part of it. Oh, I just been through a lot. But look what that one story, which was very simple, like look what it created. Look what it kind of allowed for her to evolve into, to be like, okay, I can go ahead, man, I can do that. You right, like I can. And why am I? Yeah. Now we can talk about all the rest of that you're feeling. But it was just based off of I listen, I share, and now okay, let's formulate a solution to it.
I'm not alone in this.
Hmm.
Mm.
Here's
Absolutely.
somebody, which is the whole point of why we're doing this. The whole point of this show is our struggles are not uncommon,
Hmm.
but it's that isolation that makes us feel like we're the only one going through. And I can't, like I said, I can't see my way out of this. But then when they look at you, they see women who have overcome those obstacles that I have no answers for. But now I have hope because I see two people who have overcome and maintained a connection together.
Hmm.
That cliche, stronger together. It's not that's real,
It's real.
real talk.
Absolutely. It's real.
Staying connected, coming up out of those shells. I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna listen. Miss Leia.
All right. So let's see. I'll just get started with work. Okay, with work, I'm always, not always. I've had projections. I'll say that. People's projections upon me is like, oh, you're always mean. Why you always, are you mad? It's like, no, I'm not mad. But I've never walked around on, hey guys, how you doing? That's not me. Okay.
Right.
I'm approachable. I feel and I'll engage again if I'm sensing that you're a real individual. If I see some like sketchy behaviors, then I'm going to keep my distance. I'll approach you when it's, pertaining to what the task is. And after that, you go about your business and I'm going to go on about my business. So I've, done that and for years and years. And after, 15 years of nursing and then being in different departments and then observing, more and more people in my department that I really don't really care to engage in, so each day I'm going to work, I'm quiet 10 to 12 hours. I'm interacting with very minimal people. It may be the housekeeper, but they're only in my face for about 5 minutes. And then after that, so the whole day, there's no conversation. There's no conversation at work. I get home and, exhausted, have no energy for the husband, barely energy for the children. So again, there's not a whole lot of conversation going on. So 365, 365, 365. Yeah, I'm starting to lose myself. Women have, a certain amount of words that we're supposed to be getting out in order for us to just be at peace, to be at a balance. And so I'm, starting to have just, I can't formulate my thoughts because I'm not using the power of my brain. Other than, okay, drawing blood, starting an IV, completing some orders, that's like muscle memory now that I've been doing it as long as I have. But I'm not pushing, I'm not learning anything. I'm not giving to myself. I'm not giving to my family. I'm not giving to my community. So, fast forward to the pandemic, I was pursuing my nurse practitioner, and I was at the point where I needed to secure one more year to go, securing my clinical rotations, right? But that was problematic. I secured one, and then I wouldn't be able to secure one. So then the schooling, it's a bigger gap, and then another gap. And then just the influence of my friend here, she was like, yeah, we need to do something else. Like, this is not it. I'm not happy. You're not happy. I'm just like, you're right, friend. I'm totally miserable. And so thank God for the pandemic, because it just helped me to stop and really reassess like the path for my life. I feel like had I obtained that nurse practitioner, it'd be another 20 years of misery. And people are like, oh, well, you could do, like cosmetics. And I'm just like, I can't knowingly, willingly inject poison into somebody's face. So I feel like us coming together, creating this women's nonprofit, recognizing that women, we needed a place to go to. Heck, I needed a place to start finding myself again, being able to find my voice. Your voice is so important. I'm not gonna do that. And so, I've been able, like, I can just feel it. I know that when I initially started, we'd be asked to do some podcasts. And I'd be like, I don't know, because it was still in the works. Now things are good, as I feel. So, with time, with just realizing like there's more, there's a calling on your life. There's more that you should be doing. And this platform, this organization is allowing for me to do just that. Have that example from my children, like, oh yeah, my mom, yeah, she was a nurse. But after, whatever, look like, oh yeah, people know your mama, of course, because people knew my mother. And I want to be known for something great. Nobody cares that I'm a nurse. I mean, in all actuality, people say, oh, we thank you for it. Yeah, okay, that's great. But aside from that, nobody cares.
I just want to say what I've observed just in this conversation and hearing both of you. So, Ivory, you talked about masks, right? And being able to appear one way, but really something else deeper is going on. Leah, I heard you say that someone tried to convince you to pursue something that was not fulfilling to you, and suggested that you go into cosmetics. Those two things just fired in my brain. I'm like, wow, the mask that people wear in society and the image that is portrayed on the outer just to escape dealing with what's going on in the inner. It's mind-blowing what I just, and if power plugs, belief in visionaries, if y'all don't pick up on anything else, pick up on what was just shared by these two powerful women. Another thing that I picked up on was that the pathway to finding your purpose and being able to utilize your gifts does not always come in a convenient season or wrapped in a convenient package.
Right.
Sounds like there was some struggle and some issues and some pressure and things that had to come to a head before
you arrive. There's no timeline.
So for all of you out there who are struggling and you're like almost like at your wits end, know that the sunrise and the sunset kind of look the same. Don't confuse one for the other, because you may think that something's your end when really in the cycle of things, you need an end of something to give birth to something else.
That's right.
Absolutely.
You all are giving the people the gems today, and thank you. How did you make belief reality? Like when you all said, you know what, we're gonna come up with I Am Queen. We feel that this is our purpose, and it was just an idea that was just talked about between the two of you.
Right.
How did you make belief reality?
I would say put an action behind that thought or that belief, right? Because once it's comes out your mind, you can say it with your mouth, but you need the action to flow with it. Because we can walk around all day and say, "Oh, we're going to do something," but until you actually do it, it's just you talking. I have a real strong belief that actions speak louder than words. So in me believing that, it's like, okay, because we kind of set on it for, man, I think that was like maybe April, and we didn't do nothing or talk about it really till like, hey, until like December.
That's true.
Then I'm just like, girl,
Because then she's like, okay, I need you to sign this. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What? Oh, you got a website? Oh my God, Facebook. Yeah, I need you to be on there. I'm like, oh, okay.
because I'm like, it was just set, right? But it was something for me that just, it was a nudging, right? We talked about it, we expressed it, don't even know really how it looked or what it was supposed to look like. But again, I do feel that a lot of people don't realize that everything that you've gone through in life along that journey, when you actually open up that book, there's also tools, there's help things for you. And then for me, like every job that I've ever had allow for me to develop, create, and put out a lot of I Am Queen stuff. But we stop it. Oh, I don't do that anymore. I'm over here. But that's still a skill set. That's still something that obviously God wanted you to go through, because you didn't know that you was going to use it 10, 15 years from now, but you still know how to do it. You still good at it. You know, those become your little gifts, that your gifts will make room for you. Like those become your gifts, but we don't look at it like that. We look at it's just a time period. That's what I used to do. But she was doing it for a reason. And how can you incorporate what you've learned into what your purpose is? Because it all like connects. And so action for me. And then I think when it comes down to it, there has to be an internal, like, belief, wanting, like it was a yearningness for me, like trying to put it off and be like, we're just gonna wait. But it's like, I can't stop dreaming about it. I can't stop thinking about it. I'm like, man, it's like all these visions, all these different thoughts, like, okay, what are you trying to tell me, God? Oh, because I'm trying to do it on my timing. Like, oh, okay, well, it'll happen, but it's like, no, you get that nudge, that push, that it's constantly in your face. I'm like, to me, that let me know that this is of something that's real important, because it's not just the talk,
Right.
but it starts to like consume like my desire, my thought process, what I'm talking about. Yeah, like I'm all like, hey, and what about, and hey, and I'm like, okay, something has to get done. And I felt like when December came, it was like now or never. Now or never, we got to get it done. Now
Yeah.
we can roll together and we can make it all happen, because I feel like that's the way it's supposed to be. But it's so much in me that even if you decide not to, I have to keep going. I have to do it, because I
Right.
cannot not stop thinking about it. Like I cannot, um, man, just visions in themselves, man. Realizing that I am a visionary,
Mm.
and how that looks. And so it's like I can't shut my mind off. And then like the different downloads, like it got to the point it was overwhelming. Like I felt like God's like, okay, I know you stubborn, Ivory. And I know you feel like you want to do things when you want to do things.
Piece of a pie.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, like I'm going to keep doing this until you feel uncomfortable enough to put the action behind it.
That's right.
So yeah, that's what I feel.
That uncomfortability. That's the other thing. Ivory's like, okay, girl. And I'm like, oh, okay, I need to quit. I need to scale back on this full-time work, because every day I go in, I'm just like, this is my face.
Mhm.
And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll be right there. Hi, I'm Leah. How can I help you? What do you need? And I'm just like, and that's not.
It's not
Nobody
you.
comes to the hospital to have a nurse looking like that. Yeah, but I don't want to be here. Granted, I still have responsibilities, but I still don't want to be here. And now I'm at the point where it's like, I'd rather be broke. Okay, I'd rather be broke than continue to exert all this time and energy and brain power to people that, child, they could care less.
The
Well, let me go
power,
do me.
the power in that. Literally,
I'd rather be broke.
that pushing. And okay, I'm gonna go back to a conversation that we had, Ivory, about what you call your life coaching, the doula,
Oh yes.
right?
Yes.
Let's talk about the analogy of what it was. So you never know when you share how that's going to affect somebody in that moment. We had the conversation about you saying, I don't want to be called a life coach. I want to be called what?
Transmogrification doula.
Woo! Right in that moment, because I was like, I don't want to be called a life coach. I want to be called an empowerment strategist. But at that time, what you didn't know was I was towards the end of where you were just talking about, Leah. I was still at my job, my just over broke, right? And very, very, very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Which is a great thing. People, if you're listening, it's a wonderful thing to be uncomfortable, because then that's when movement occurs. You talked about a doula, and doulas assist women into the birthing process. In that moment, I was in that uncomfortable, I'm ready to get out of this womb and into this world that I know I belong in, because I can't fit. The inner being cannot fit in this
Mold
space,
anymore.
in this mode anymore. And I'd rather go into the unknown, right? I'd rather be broke than to do this anymore, because it doesn't fit. Something's gonna break.
Right.
And you can't be afraid or allow
Somebody-
fear to stop you from doing just that. Like, we're all out here. I mean, literally, I jumped out of an airplane with no parachute
Mm,
and I'm free falling. But guess what? I know who has me.
Right.
And meeting people like yourselves who are on the same journey, you know, um, it's wonderful. It's wonderful how you all made belief reality.
Mhm.
It's wonderful. I want to hit on just a couple more things, and I respect y'all's time. But one thing that you spoke about with masks and people who appear one way, but really inside they're hurting. Really inside they're going through some things. As a parent, I can say a mistake that I made was thinking that just because I'll just choose one of my children, just because one of my children was very well adjusted in school, great grades. Um, at that time, home life was not great because of everything that was going on, but you confused well adjustedness with people being okay. Because how is it that things can be the way that they are, but yet you get great grades and you seem well adjusted and this seems great? Well, then that child is okay. That's not the truth.
Right.
That's not the truth. Sometimes we hold on to certain things and appearances, and we put up walls to protect our face because we're unwilling to face what's going on the inside. Um, as people who care about other people, and that's the reason why we do what it is that we do. We have to sit and know that the people that we're sent to help will not always show us who they are or where they hurt or why it is that they do what they do, but understanding that there's something going on behind what we see, and we have to be still and notice what's going on behind the mask, because there's people that you and I will walk past and think, oh, they're good.
Right.
They're the
Right.
exact people who need what it is that we have to offer, because our experience is there to help them. But you will never know unless you take the time to be observant. And I heard the words come out of both of your mouths. Um, Powerful, powerful stuff, everybody. Um, our next question.
yeah.
What and this is, yeah, we're gonna lighten it up a little bit. What what would you like to share with the power plugs and the belief and visionaries, everybody who's watching, on what's on the horizon for I Am Queen, and where they can find you both locally and on an online platform?
Well, great. Well, so we are on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Um, we have a website, and it's www.i-am-queen.org. We do have an event that will be coming up at the end of the year, as well as some new things coming up for 2023. We will keep everything posted as far as events on the website. So definitely take some time and check it out for some things that are upcoming. One of the main things that we are trying to remain focused on is creating the transitional home, where we want to be able to help the women transition, begin their journey on becoming the best version of themselves, and not just telling you to go out here and be the best you, but also providing you with tools in order to do that. We have 5 pillars that we definitely believe by. I honestly believe those was downloaded and for a specific reason. And it's crazy because when you talk to other organizations and other people, those 5 pillars, which is mental health, self growth, physical health, professional development, and financial literacy. Those 5 pillars resonate with everybody. It don't matter who you are.
Right.
It's not a specific class. It's not a specific color. Those 5 things are so broadly needed for women, and even men,
Yeah.
for everyone. Someone can walk away with something and learn something from them. So we definitely are trying to make sure that we go to the moon and Mars. Like, we want to take it all the way out. Our team believes in us, and we believe in us. Want to be the next Red Cross,
Oh.
red, whoever,
FEMA, baby.
FEMA, something.
Right.
When something is happening in the world,
They gonna call
I
the
am
queens.
queen.
Okay.
There you
We'll be
go.
able
And
to
what
be
does
there.
I Am Queen stand for everybody? I have to ask this because I love hearing it every time.
We love saying it.
Yes. So I am queen means I
I
am
am
quickly underestimated but evolving nonstop. Yes, man.
Love it.
All
Love
right.
it. Love it. Love it. I'm going to definitely share the different places that people can get in touch with you all.
Right.
So grateful for you all being on the show. So grateful for you all being in the tribe. Knowing you all has blessed my life, my wife's life, uh,
Oh, hers as well.
and our daughter, who's
Aw.
also blessed by
So
y'all.
cute.
We love y'all. Power Plugs, Belief in Visionaries. These are people to know. These are people to know because they care. They're real. They are authentic. They are out here changing the world. Love you both. Thank you for being on the show.
Yay.
Everyone, stay connected. Check up on your people and don't
Right.
trust the mask.
Yeah.
Right? Don't trust the
Right.
mask. All right. It
Yes.
is once and again that we are leaving us with a positive note that there are great people in the world doing great things. Get on board. All right.
Absolutely.
Take care.
Join us.
Yes.
Women, join us.
Right. Join. All right. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To change the narrative in your life, take the next step. Invest in yourself and book a life strategy coaching session with me at www.beliefinteriordesign.com. Let's start the journey of making belief reality.